This is the big payoff for spending the day in here and getting these great presentations and your payback for all the generous people that stood up on the stage and shared information with you. This is where we're putting you to work now. Hello? Come on in. So does everybody know what an unconference is? Does anyone know what an unconference is? You flip it around where instead of being talked at, you're engaged in conversation. All right. So all day long, everybody, we hope, had gone to the website, the Poll Everywhere website that came in with the QR code, and you typed in what your biggest challenges were. Let me see a show of hands. Who typed into Poll Everywhere today? Oh, come on. I saw entries in there, and I know you're not a bunch of shrinking violets here, so this is time to engage. Coffee? Everybody have their coffee? No? You still need some coffee? All right. So Thomas, since this was your idea.
It wasn't really, but.
What do you want to do next?
Go ahead.
We're flying without a net here. So Hans, do you want to tell everybody what Willem did?
Oh, you want me to explain the unconferencing?
No, what Willem did.
Okay.
What Willem did.
Yeah, so we had, I pointed out a couple of times, we had Poll Everywhere ask you to submit the challenges, and just a few minutes before we started the unconferencing, Willem downloaded all those questions, all those challenges you submitted, run it through an AI, and ask for the three top challenges people see when it comes to AI in media. And those are the results. Responsible, ethical, legally informed AI adoption, integration, ROI, and sustainable implementation, education, critical thinking, and the future of creativity.
Anybody have a reaction to any of that? Here we go. And please identify yourself.
I'm Eleanor Heaton, CBT. I fear one of my biggest concern as early talent, it definitely thinks something that should be addressed is the importance of humans in the process of everything. I think, unfortunately, AI is not going to tell you, we're concerned about the human element of things, but I think there definitely seems to be a disconnect between, from what I'm seeing in the industry, kind of almost trying to concern that the human aspect isn't there, and so embracing AI versus the humans at the bottom rung who are, I'm more so concerned that their human element is not appreciated fully.
Well, thank you for that comment. I would say that goes right to number one, responsible and ethical AI. So if you look up at in particular the policy paper that we highlighted earlier, or if you go to the UN AI for Good, there's a lot written about responsible and ethical AI or human-centered AI, right? You have to include the human beings in your consideration for how you're using AI.
There's a lot written here, which is the background to the first bullet point.
All right. So if we take a closer, Pat?
Yeah. So I was going to ask this to the panel, but I'll say it to this group. With the growth of fake news and the growing importance of provenance, it seems to be an area SMPTE should have a role in. And my question to the panel is going to be, how can AI help ensuring interoperability as we come up with these solutions? That should be something we lead the standards in and then have AI help us. And by the way, I do have the answers to ChatGTP to Hans's question if anyone wants to know them.
Yeah, I'm actually happy to report that we do have a study group on content provenance and authenticity. So because and interesting enough, maybe that's one of the problems we have to think about in SMPTE is that I tried to socialize this idea of having the study group, and everybody thought it was a good idea, but nobody wanted to lead it, right? So at the end, to get it off the ground, I just decided, I do it then, right? But that's a challenge really, because I think a lot of people see the benefit and they want to have standards, but they don't know how to get involved and how to actually participate and do this.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we should probably be clear on what the expected outcome is for this session. Actionable takeaways for SMPTE in the AI space, whatever that means. Mm-hmm. And since this is the community that was interested enough in the topic of the intersection of AI policy and standards and more, I figured this would be the best group to have this conversation with.
Yeah. But could we just see the other two? So there was integration, ROI, practical applications in media workflows, and then you have all the background here, the sub-bullet points. Practical AI integration, managed infrastructure demands, hybrid AI developments, data security usage rights, the central go-to point for AI in media.
Yeah, and I'm happy to report, I should actually point out that we do have a task force on AI, and we're looking for people to get involved. Right. Sorry, Hans, I think.
Do you know about this task force?
No, I don't.
Do you know about this task force? Nope. Do you know about the task?
I do not.
This is a representative, not non-representative. You know where I want to go. Of course you know where I want to go. Who could imagine, who is a good community builder, a good ideator on how communities look like? How could actually the knowledge about the possibilities what SMPTE offers be better made available, be increased in terms of its awareness? So are there any ideas here?
Over here, Hans.
For Unconference people.
I would say one of the biggest aspects is pressers, as in having web pages up easily that saying, having as the website says, go-to point for all of that stuff as well. I mean, quite frankly, it's hard to reach, media and tech entertainment, engineers and professionals in the first place because of I want to say a diverse range of technical capabilities, and kind of we're all over the place. So website wise, and then as well working with other groups such as, even just like the Society of Broadcast Engineers or other, tech working groups to say, oh, hey guys, this is what we have offered. And in case you didn't know, SMPTE has these things. And I think so professional collaboration in between working groups, I think, is the biggest way you can do that.
So I have a question for you all. Thank you for that, by the way. How many of you read the SMPTE Engineering Report, AI and Media, that was published at the end of 2003? End of 23. 23, yeah, going way back. I'm thinking digital cinema. All right, how many of you saw the webinar that Renard and Fred and Thomas, I think you might have been in that. That was about a year and a half ago. How many saw that? How many even know there is this AI in media report? Okay, so I think one of the takeaways is there's a failure to communicate, right?
Who's winning?
Okay.
Who's winning?
Well, there's a lesson to be learned from how that was communicated, right? All right, we need you to get you the microphone. Right behind you.
I was just saying, I couldn't tell you there's a working group on AI. I did see the one on C2PA, but I did not study group. See, didn't even know it was a study group. I thought it was a working group.
Yeah, so there is still a joint task force, and in fact, there's a presentation from the joint task force on AI, the chair, Fred Walls. Fred, are you still here? Yep, there's Fred. Okay.
Fred is over there. So I think in a way, this go-to point thing, this calls really for action. And also the panel has mentioned before, we need to have a community which grows and which has really an interaction, which is known which is known I think, worldwide, globally known as a go-to point. And then it needs to create, of course, value in the different domains. Fred? Yay. Of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you didn't ask the question, how many people know there are actively like 3 projects going on for AI standardization in SMT? Well, they're in the regarding, embeddings, model metadata, and I'm trying to remember the third one. Registry. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so I guess, there definitely is a failure to communicate, I feel like, if there is a lack of awareness of those efforts. I guess one other, point maybe is that it seemed like among the panel anyway, that there was sort of a limited, effort, I suppose, towards standardization, but like a recognition that there might be some benefit, right? So like, the comment from, the AWS gentleman was pretty telling, right? That, well, if it doesn't work together, we'll just get AI to solve it, right? Like, there's an interoperability problem, well, AI will figure it out, right? Like, but that's not efficient, right? Like the reason we, as engineers have done this for so long is to try to come up with ways for things to talk to each other so that they know, if you put this thing into this other thing, that it's going to work, right? And if nobody's thinking about those things, you can create systems that are highly unpredictable and, potentially dangerous. So I think, having the bigger conversation, like the MCP idea, I think has been one that's been brought up in the task force, right? A2A, other things like that, things that are like kind of glue that bring these systems together, I think are very relevant, for us to get involved with, because all in all, like if you compare SMPTE's standardization process to something like ISO or something like that, like, I know Hans, you're like, is there a way to do this faster, right? Like, could we get to the finish line faster? But I mean, all in all, SMPTE's process is fairly streamlined and efficient, I would say, in general. So
Fred, along the lines of letting AI do it, and whether that's safe or trustworthy, then do you have a feeling about working off this ISO 42001 framework, the management systems, and starting from there and certification? Do you have a reaction to that, or does anybody think that's something that really should be of interest to our community? And I think Rohit may be here, so maybe we want to be polite. Or not be polite, as the case may be.
The word molasses comes to mind. Molasses. The problem with the big IORGs, that there's so much process, we used to joke in I2R, it was like watching a glacier move. So to Hans's point, if we want to move fast, I think we have to put up something ourselves. And I just want to go back. I think we flip this around. We have a solution in search of a problem. I would rather us focus on a problem like content security and provenance, where we have a stake, we have a reason to have a voice, and then say, okay, solving that problem, what's the role of AI? Not the other way around.
Good, Pat. Good, Pat.
You get a rubber ducky.
Super, Pat. So the next question is, who is going to do it?
Pat.
Adil doesn't have a microphone anymore. Never mind. Okay, I watch out. I look for people who look into their mobile phones, because then I can ask you. Okay, we go to the third one, please, Willem. So the third one was education, skills, and the future of creativity as the headline. And then you see the sub-bullet points: prioritize education, awareness, critical thinking, foundational skills, creativity, culture impact of AI, the magic to ensure originality, copycat risks, post-LLM innovations. I think we have an SMPT education pillar, if you want to say. How can we equip the pillar to fulfill all these demands and questions? Because there's obviously a huge demand in the industry for education and skills?
As you're talking about the education pillar, as a representative of one of the student chapters, Baylor University, I've been the faculty advisor for decades. One of the things, and especially sitting next to Buzz here as well, one of the things that came to my mind is conversations that I've had just in the last couple of days with universities, RIT, others, that talk really about the fact that we in the education side, especially within our departments, are really focusing heavily on AI. And we're doing a lot of work, in fact, and we found that a lot of those pieces of work are very common in terms of the way that we're approaching everything that's on that particular bullet list right now. We're not just looking at how do we integrate this sort of creatively or technically, but also all the other implications, because there's a lot of young people who are very concerned about how this changes the fundamental reason why they're going into our industry to begin with. So with that, one of the things I'm going to credit Google and other companies about, and I want to thank Buzz and his company for it, there has been a lot of support from companies like Google to help university students and other students throughout the realm of education to really explore the tools. And this is done at a very, very interesting model that allows them to have free access to a lot of the incredible burgeoning tools that are happening on, like you said, a 2-week basis. So my thought is that as we begin to look at the groundswell of the interest that those of us in education have right now about trying to really understand and figure this out, the idea of an ABC sort of approach came to my mind, which is an academic business cooperative that allows SMPTE to take its own existing chapters to start with and begin to share and explore and perhaps even begin to look at working simultaneously together cooperatively. And then with the support of SMPTE to have this be the future pathway in order to understand how the future of our business, the future of our organization can come, to use and be galvanized by AI. This is something so important, such a superset that I think it's extremely important and a wonderful opportunity for that pillar of education to be led by SMPTE.
Thank you for those comments. So do you think, you talk about this ABC notion, so do you think about something like and I'm not inventing another committee, but like a student chapter coordinating council or even a SMPTE chapter coordinating council? Because I think those are not connected right now, are they? They're sort of independent entities. So do you think there's a need for some kind of binder or dot connector?
Well, I'm just saying that I think that can be the topic right now. It's just so important to all of us in this room. We spent an entire day on it because of the importance that it has. What a great opportunity to get and allow for the universities now to really be able to have that handshake to the educational pillar in such a unique way. That's all I'm saying.
All right. That'll see if that comes up to be a bullet point out of ChatGPT, right? We have another question over here.
Yeah, go ahead, Eleanor.
So one of the things as a student, I do see all of the effects that a lot of companies and others, places are putting on students. Right now, the broadcast, the biggest force that's affecting students with AI or talking with students about AI is the Broadcast Educators Association, which specifically works with both professors and students to talk about AI in the broadcast tech realm. And I'm starting to see on that realm, they are starting to heavily lean in. So I do think we are seeing this lean in point for that. And that's that biggest factor adding right now. And then with regards to students' opinion on all these factors, I think a lot of my peers are disillusioned with that factor. They're concerned mainly about specifically what we call kind of like chatbot versus quote unquote real AI versus that computer vision, that part where we use it to enhance video. We're less concerned about that, and I think we're more concerned about almost this lapping in with the use of AI to create things. And I think that's basically trying to focus AI efforts more so into that technical AI versus that so-called generative AI. And I think that's the fear, because ultimately I do know, like, talking to students about AI is difficult because I have to first explain, I'm saying, no, I'm not talking about ChatGPT. I'm not talking about the thing that does your math homework. I'm talking about the thing that generally has really good output for, video compression. I think is one of the most exciting things that comes from it. So it's very much having not only broadcast educators, which is more so towards the creative people, but, talking more towards that student group I would say it is important to clarify. Yeah, we're not talking about, stealing your jobs. We're talking about, allowing you to use high level technology to do brand new things.
We have somebody in the back there.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Like, for me personally, I have degrees from LA City College, LA Valley College, and I graduated from UC Irvine as well. So I've bounced around. I go to AFI and all these different things. So I see AFI as a creative output where some people see it as a negative. My issue is with education. Like, right now, if you look up the definition of an AIOS, it gives you that the kernel of an AIOS is your LLM. And that's incorrect. But that's something that's been harped on and believed by a lot of people. On top of that, like, I asked the AMD guy earlier about drift, and he was telling me that he told the audience that drift is when you feed so much data to your model, it starts to mix up different things. But there's other types of drift. There's human drift, there's environmental drift, and there's system drift. So I think that there's a lack of education that needs to be involved. Like, when I learned Spanish, we knew that we could go to the Real Académico de Español, and that gave us our basis for learning the language. There is no set grammar or understanding for AI, and that's something that should be done by Symphony.
Thank you.
So if I may make a comment, this question of education and feeling comfort with AI going forward, whether it's a student or a creative, really comes down to that whole creative wisdom. Is that preserved or not? There was something that, just to make myself comfortable, I studied information sciences and just to see what does that produce. And I came across this whole DIKW principle. I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but data for us, so D stands for data, that's just content. I is information, that's metadata, that's describing the content, slightly more intelligent. Then there's K, which is knowledge. Hang on, is knowledge intelligence? But knowledge is defined just as all that metadata information just strung together contextually. Then there's wisdom, which is where creative wisdom comes in. And creative wisdom is defined as how to use that knowledge, all that fragments of information, intelligently for a creative output. That, I haven't seen an AI system string together all the different knowledge pieces into that creative wisdom, because that creative wisdom requires a lot more than just an input. It requires your audience. It requires so many more factors, your history, your culture, all of that comes in. So that's one part that I found a way of telling a story of why creative wisdom is still intact, even though AI systems are getting to the knowledge part. Now, that's a very theoretical thing. I don't know how other people are seeing it too. Is that true? Creative wisdom is still being preserved? Or are we saying, no, even AI systems are doing creative wisdom already?
Okay, so I just wanted to jump in real quick. I just wanted to follow up on what Corey was talking about before. And basically, in terms of like education and for the students and those that are new careers and so on, please let's, again, I've been sharing the SMPTE report that was done before on AI with a lot of my colleagues, etc. I would love to see like a highlights reel from today on the free part of the SMPTE website. Doesn't have to be everything, but I think a few choice things that for people to hear, and let's all share it with everyone. I think that would be great. And we've got some other things that we can put out on our newsletters and so on, just to inform people what we're already doing at SMPTE with regard to AI.
Yeah, just to defend that a little bit from the SMPTE, it was on the website. We did a lot of outreach about it.
Oh no, I think what John was talking about. Oh, John was talking about was taking what was discussed here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And sharing that.
That's the intent.
I think what we agreed is that there will be a summary generated from everything, what the panelists discussed, what we had in the sessions, what we see on the slides, and then we hand it over and hope that something happens with it. And next year when we come back, we can tick off and say all these actions were fulfilled because we said 12 months, what would you like to do in 12 months? I think we need to follow up on that one very seriously.
Yeah. So can we just interpret this as you thought the content was worthwhile that you got today, the presentation?
Yeah.
Is that a decent enough selection? Here you go, Merrill.
So I think that publishing what we're doing here today is a very worthwhile thing to do. There's one problem that I'd call it an ongoing SMPTE problem that we need to think about as we go ahead and do put it out there. And that is that there is not as much attention being paid to the things that we're publishing as we would like. And I probably represent one of the people who suffers from this kind of overload that exists, and we have to find our way through it. I mean, when you get 300 or 400 emails a day, when you get newsletters from 5 or 6 or 7 standards organizations, when you're trying to keep up with the technology, and when there's a small proportion of the people who are members who actually help make the work happen, that doesn't allow time to see and read everything that comes by. And so I would suggest that we try and, before sending this out, so that it has maximum impact, let's think about the common SMPTE standard and every other organization's a problem in the same position. How do we break through to get people to look at it and take it on board? And we need to do something that's creative, I think, in order to make that happen.
Yeah, I just wanted to, we need to know like 5 minutes at the end for Rich to come up here, because we captured everything what was said today in this session, and Rich run it over through an AI and to see what the main takeaways are, and we're going to look at that and see what we feel was important.
Well, so I wasn't able to get included the idea for, like in Oregon, the naked bicycle rides to get attention.
I'm not going to read any of this out unless you vote for me in the DJ battle. So come on, get your phones out now. Okay. Okay. Well, I ran it through several AIs actually, and to your point, I think actually, I was just thinking maybe we need to get an AI to not only summarize, which is what I've asked it to do, but also to tell us the best way to market it and maybe get people's attention. It might turn it into clickbait, but there we go. So I did summaries on the whole day, but I'm going to, which by the way, ChatGPT would not accept. But Gemini and Grok did. So I have 3 that I've run it through. I've got, as I said, Grok, Gemini and ChatGPT. Well, Grok, I'm not sure. I'm worried about what those outputs are going to look like, but this is on the fly, so we'll see what happens. And then I've got my own 5 things. So I'm not going to read all of this because it has given me quite a good summary. Oh, do you want me to try and get it on screen?
Can we get the laptop on the desk, please? Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So this is the output from ChatGPT. Should be coming up. There we go. Okay, so obviously, as you can see there, we're looking at this is a summary just from this discussion now. What's that? Bigger. I can make it bigger, but then you can't see as much. Okay. So obviously, responsible, ethical, and human-centered. Communication gaps and awareness issues, as been pointed out, a strong part of it. Practical integration, interoperability, education skills and development, and need for actionable outcomes and community involvement. I don't think any of those are surprising. I don't think AI has helped us much here, but let's see what Grok said. No, actually, I'm going to go Gemini next, just to keep the tension in the room. I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, I got it. There we go. Yeah, very similar. God, you'd think they'd gone through the same engine, wouldn't you? Different order, though. This one wants actionable standards at the top. I did ask, actually, just you want to see the prompt, I actually wanted the most frequently and strongly expressed topics and concerns. So I didn't want to just the most frequently said. Prioritizing ethical, responsible AI again. Provenance and authenticity, so it's picked that out, which wasn't picked out by the other one, by ChatGPT. Integration ROI and efficiency, that's good. And equipping the next generation with education skills and critical thinking. So that's pretty good. All right, you ready? Grok. It's probably fine. Yeah, it's exactly the same. There we go. So yeah, there we go. And very, very much the similar outputs. So, there you have it. That's what AI thinks. And what I thought was, awareness in SMPTE work on AI is low and DJ awareness is high. Limited effort towards standardization, but could be beneficial. AI can figure out interoperability problems. That one I should have put at the top because I'm like, fuck it, we can all go home. It's fine if AI can just do it. We do need education and skills. I like the ABC approach. I thought that was very nice, Corey. And I thought this was a really interesting one, actually. The need for an ontology, a grammar for AI. And I think that is a really interesting area that we should look at, actually. So for me, that one was probably the one that I thought was most interesting. So there you go. There's your summary of the by AI for human.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Thank you. Yeah, we did start a vocabulary for microservices. So, and that was really supposed to be kind of a seed, for more areas. So no reason that we couldn't include AI in that. I think from my perspective, as the director of standards development, I would add one thing to it, which also plays into education. And I think not every interoperability solution needs to be a standard. And when I say standard, I mean de jure standards. And I think there's often a misunderstanding about what a specification and a de facto standard is and what a de jure standard is about. De jure standards is official recognition and legal standing, right? And with that, we can get involved in these discussions in ISO. We can get involved in the ITU and all these other, higher level international standards organizations. I think there are lots of interoperability discussions which do not need that, right? And actually, when I worked at a big broadcaster and I had a discussion about standards and people were using specifications for standards and specification and standard for specification, I said, well, this is not a specification. This is a standard. And the CTO kind of snapped at me and he said, Thomas, what I need is an interoperability solution. How it's called, I could, care less, So, I think that's the view. I mean, there are areas. I think SMPTE has to find a way, and we tried that with this rapid industry solutions, find a quick way that people who do not necessarily want to get involved in standards development and the standards process can get together and address these interoperability challenges. Just my pet peeve. right? I'm trying to talk about it. I will tell you there is not much interest to listen to that, but I do it here and I force you to listen. Anyway, I think we are out of time, and I think we can wrap it up. I think we have some good output out of this session. Thank you, Willem, for doing the hard work. Thank you, Rich. Thank you to AI Media, who actually gave us all the transcripts so we could run them through their system. And yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, well, I'm just a little cog, in the system. But actually, that's a good point while we're wrapping up. Simply is very small. We don't have a lot of staff. And I always say Simply comes to life through its members, right? So all these things we discussed, and if we want to do stuff, we really need the members to engage as well. Anyway, that's my last words. Thank you so much. I think it was a good effort, good event. And, we can all go to the gala now.